Welcome to this explainer, where we're breaking down the definitive primer on the characters, setting, and plot of Grand Theft Auto 6, right ahead of its massive November 19, 2026 launch. Whether you are completely new to the franchise or you just need to get your bearings before jumping into this generation-defining title, this is exactly what you need to know to hit the ground running. Because, navigating a game like this requires genuinely understanding its vast, breathing ecosystem before you even think about dropping in. You really need to know the players, the terrain, and the stakes. So, before we unpack all the details, I want you to ask yourself a question. What awaits you on the darkest side of the sunniest place in America? Really think about that intense contrast between a vibrant, picturesque paradise and a desperate, gritty fight for survival. We're talking about a sun-drenched, neon-lit playground on the surface, which completely masks a high-stakes, ruthless criminal underworld just underneath. That tension, that wild duality, is the absolute core of the experience you're about to step into.
All right, here's our itinerary for today. First up, welcome to Leonida State. 2, meet Jason and Lucia. 3, the criminal conspiracy. And 4, the Vice City underworld.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Welcome to Leonida State. Consider this your tourist guide to the sunniest place in America. Okay, so the game is set in Leonida, which is Rockstar's sprawling, chaotic take on Florida. And you aren't just getting one city here. You've got the dense urban core of Vice City, shimmering with that iconic Art Deco architecture and towering neon high-rises. But imagine what it feels like to drive out of those neon-lit streets, watching the city lights fade in your rearview mirror, and suddenly finding yourself surrounded by the murky, dense swamps of the Grassrivers. Modeled on the real-world Everglades, this subtropical wilderness forces you to watch out for apex predators like alligators just as much as rival factions. From there, you can head down to the Leonida Keys, which is this gorgeous island chain perfect for coastal smuggling, or up to Port Gellhorn for mud club off-road rallies in these gritty working port towns. You even get the agricultural and mountainous regions of Ambrosia and Mount Calaga to the north. Every single region completely changes how you drive, hide, and survive. And the scale? You're dropping into a landmass estimated to be twice the size of the already massive map from Grand Theft Auto 5. Seriously, think about what that actually means for a second. A map of this magnitude changes everything: how you plan escapes, how you travel, and how you experience the passing of time. And it's all rendered with this stunning ray-traced lighting and incredibly advanced physics that make every single mile feel distinctly real. But, all that space isn't just empty window dressing. You'll be exploring over 700 fully enterable interiors. That is a game changer. It means the world is denser and more immersive than literally anything we've seen before. Why does this matter to you? Well, it completely rewrites the meta of open-world games. Hiding from the cops or planning a robbery now involves intricate interior layouts. We're talking sprawling shopping malls, pulsating nightclubs, complex commercial spaces, and hundreds of individual apartments. You aren't just driving past the architecture anymore. You're actively moving through it, using it for cover, for heists, or for a really desperate getaway. So, who occupies this massive world? Well, you'll be surviving in a highly reactive environment that hilariously and darkly parodies modern 2020s American excesses and our collective digital culture. Picture this. You're trying to quietly escape a botched robbery, only to have 3 random bystanders actively live-streaming your getaway to their followers? No way, right? It brings the chaotic Florida man internet memes to life right in front of you. It incorporates modern law enforcement tech, like police body cameras recording your every move. And it showcases that uncomfortable, stark contrast between sprawling luxury real estate and poverty-stricken trailer parks. It's a living, breathing, wildly satirical snapshot of today, and you're right in the middle of it. Moving on to Section 2, meet Jason and Lucia, the turn to the darkest side. To survive this crazy world, you'll be stepping into the shoes of 2 very distinct protagonists, each with unique tactical abilities. First, we've got Jason Duval. He's an ex-military operator who's been working for local drug runners down in the Leonida Keys. Thanks to his combat training, his specific gameplay mechanic is a highly effective slow-motion weak-point targeting ability. Then we have Lucia Caminos, who is actually the mainline series' first female lead. She's a former Liberty City resident who spent hard time locked up in the Leonida Penitentiary. Her unique mechanic is this devastatingly powerful single-shot slow-motion ability. The cool part is you'll seamlessly switch between them or coordinate them in dual control. Think about how swapping between a methodical military veteran and a hardened, resourceful ex-convict will dynamically change your combat approach on the fly. Now, this brings us to a narrative structure commonly called the Bonnie and Clyde dynamic. This marks a huge departure for the franchise by putting a deeply personal, emotional relationship at the very center of the gameplay. Instead of playing three loosely connected characters, Jason and Lucia are a couple whose fates are entirely intertwined. Because they're romantically involved, a mistake made by one character has devastating emotional and tactical consequences for the other. They are forced to rely completely on each other for survival against overwhelming odds. This shared fate ramps up the emotional stakes of everything you do. Every bullet fired and every risk taken impacts the person you care about most. All right, Section 3, the criminal conspiracy. When the easy score goes wrong.
Here's the thing. You aren't building a criminal empire from scratch at your own leisurely pace here. Nope. You are immediately thrust into a desperate fight to survive a plot way bigger than yourselves. The story kicks off with what's supposed to be a simple, standard bank job, but it spirals wildly out of control and fails spectacularly. From that explosive inciting incident, Jason and Lucia are violently pulled into a statewide criminal conspiracy. Suddenly, they're on the run. They are the underdogs trapped in a web of sprawling corruption, and the stakes are deeply personal from minute one. Your primary goal isn't just making money anymore, it's staying alive.
To survive this escalating threat, you're going to need to master some brand new, highly realistic combat and stealth mechanics. Consider these your essential survival tips. You can't just run and gun your way through Leonida anymore. You have to think tactically. You'll find yourself crawling prone in the dirt to evade enemy detection. When things get loud, you can actually take human shields during intense firefights, or utilize zip ties to non-lethally restrain NPCs to control a crowd. And you've got to be careful, because the 6-star wanted system has been completely overhauled. Police AI is way smarter and highly coordinated now. Responses are delayed based on the severity of your crime, and at lower wanted levels, they'll actually attempt non-lethal tiered responses. Actually, scratch the old way of playing. Simply surrendering to the cops might actually be a viable strategy now to avoid a total bloodbath, which is a massive shift to wrap your head around. That brings us to Section 4, the Vice City Underworld, navigating volatile alliances. You aren't in this alone, but honestly, your allies are just as dangerous as your enemies. You'll be dealing with a colorful, eccentric, and incredibly unpredictable network of criminals, hustlers, and tycoons. Think of this as your underworld dossier. You've got Brian Heder, a veteran drug runner from the golden age of key smuggling, who also just happens to be Jason's landlord. There's Booby Ike, a ruthless Vice City business boss with a whole empire to protect. You'll cross paths with Drake One Priest, an ambitious hustler trying to break into the music industry with his label Only Raw Records. That label just signed Real Dimes, a viral street-savvy rap duo made up of Baylux and Roxy, whose explosive online antics might just throw a massive wrench into your carefully laid plans. Add in seasoned, highly dangerous bank robbers like Raul Bautista and Jason's incredibly paranoid friend Cal Hampton, and you've got a seriously volatile ensemble cast. One wrong word to the wrong person can bring the entire underworld crashing down on you.
So, what does this all mean? Ultimately, in a world completely dominated by chaotic influencers and ruthless kingpins, your survival depends on the one person you can actually trust. As a player, balancing these volatile underworld relationships is going to be an absolute tightrope walk. Every single deal you make or bridge you burn will constantly push Jason and Lucia back to relying solely on each other. When everyone else has a hidden agenda, the romantic and tactical partnership is literally your only real lifeline.
We're going to wrap up on this official logline from Rockstar Games. Find yourself on the darkest side of the sunniest place in America. When November 19th, 2026 arrives, those neon lights are going to be blinding, but the shadows are where you'll really have to survive. So are you ready to dive into the darkest side of America's sunniest place and see if you have what it takes to make it out alive? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and we'll see you next time.